Sup everyone, yeah, it's me again, I'm Jungli. Yeah, obviously I'm in a shirt, the firm color. Today it's not about balls, not about celebrations, it's about a presentation which is about soil remediation, contamination. I'm ready for that, so let's go for it.
Doesn't it? So it gets you in the mood for
What's that?
the camera.
Alright.
And it gets you in sort of like, it's like there's someone watching you, so it's
I
like
think you skipped
it
something.
gets you in the mindset of people will be watching you later anyway, so let's do it.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
I'll time and you put the timer on and I'll put on the 10 minutes. Right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
You forgot
You cut it down, so.
Yeah, fair dues. I've done that twice. I've done that twice.
What was it?
I forgot my name. That would have added at least 4 seconds.
I did. Oh, did I not say it?
I didn't say anything.
Damn.
I need to make sure to remember my oxygen thing as well. We break and then we'll go out again.
Jack was like a boss, like, my name's Jack.
Jack, I'll be taking you through what's been done so far. I'll be taking you through whether you like it or not.
Good job, dude.
Oh.
At least we're the only ones talking about soil washing this time. Well, like
Is that right?
to start off with.
Oh
yeah.
shit, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Zhengli, and now we are going to discuss about the case study which is concerned with the condition of contamination and soil washing treatment of the Avenue sites located in Chesterfield, UK. Originally, it hosted a colliery, lime and ironworks. From 1950s until 1993, the Avenue coking plant and chemical works were in operation. After 1999, Jacobs, commissioned by East Midland Development Agency, was in charge of redevelopment of the site, identification of contamination, and evaluation of potential remediation. And the soil samples were collected from the waste area and the plant area of the site. And they were analyzed by 8L Control Netherlands for substance concerned as contaminant. And the main contaminants that can be found were total petroleum hydrocarbons, TPH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAH, and cyanide. For the PAHs, they come from incomplete burning fossil fuels such as coal, gas, oil, and other organic compounds. It is carcinogenic, mutagenic, and it is a potent immunosuppressant. Regarding the TPHs, mostly they come from crude oil, and there are some chemicals that we can find in TPHs are benzene, toluene, ethyl benzene, and BTEX. It affects the blood, immune system, organs, and developing fetus. It causes death by high exposures. Cyanide is a rapidly acting and potentially deadly chemical that can exist in various forms. It causes coma, respiratory failure, and cardiovascular collapse. Death can occur by small doses.
I'm Andrew and I'll be talking about sources, pathways and receptors. So as John was saying, the main contaminants of concern found in the site were TPHs, PADs and cyanides. So these originated from anthropogenic activity at the Avenue coking plant. All 3 of these contaminants were byproducts of the production process of smokeless fuel manufactured at the Avenue coking plant. The main pathways that the contaminants can get to receptors are inhalation, ingestion and absorption. So for inhalation, as you can see here, it can just be through air, through the fumes, or through dust from the soil. It can also just be from contact to the skin, so it can be absorbed if the soil gets on you. And also from ingestion, like eating soil or eating food and drink near the site. The risk of these contaminants, the risk of these instances occurring is increased through poor hygiene of both humans and animals and outdoor activities. However, the probabilities of these occurrences with the site's neglected state is very low. However, with plans for redevelopment, the probability of this increases exponentially. When the site was originally acquired, there were no redevelopment proposals. As such, receptors that would be at risk would be those using the site for recreational and informal purposes. However, with new plans for housing, school and community centres, the pool of receptors widens to include local residents, young children of all ages, people using outdoor sports facilities, and increased recreational users of the surrounding areas.
And John will be taking you through what's been done so far on the site. So to deal with these contaminants that have been talked about, the company DEC from Norway was brought in by the local council to look at the effectiveness of soil washing on removing the contaminants. The technique utilised a 15-step process in which the soil was firstly split into sands, salts and clays and gravels, and through a series of mechanical and hydraulic techniques aimed to remove as much of the contaminant as possible. As you can see from the diagram here, the sand process was the most intensive and varied of all of the processes. However, this didn't actually translate into having the highest efficiency. It's actually the contrary of gravel processing that removed 97% of all of the contaminants within the soil, to mean that this was the only component of the soil that could be reused as backfill for the construction. This meant 52% of the soil was originally gravel, leaving 48% still needing either further treatment or to be disposed of in a suitable way. We felt that this wasn't a viable option, and as such have looked into alternative methods.
Hi, my name's Meg, and I'll be talking you through two of our potential remediation techniques. So we have landfill, thermal desorption, bioremediation, and phytoremediation. Remediation of a site via sending soils to landfill is possibly the simplest and easiest option of bulk removal of contaminated soils. However, this is becoming unfavourable as it's simply moving the problem elsewhere and not actually dealing with it. Landfill Regulations 2002 allowed for contaminated soils to be classed as hazardous waste, and this, coupled with an increase in landfill tax, has led to a more considerate approach to remediation being taken. This brings us on to thermal desorption. It is a process that utilises heat in order to increase the volatility of contaminants hosted within the soil. This causes a change in physical state of the contaminant, and as such the gas produced needs to be collected, as you can see in this diagram. There is the potential to collect and condense these gases and use recovered oils and solvents as a fuel source. Otherwise, these gases can be thermally oxidised into less harmful gases such as carbon dioxide. The treated material is then analysed, and if it is found to have an acceptable contamination level, in the case of the avenue, it can be used as construction backfill. It does, however, have advantages and disadvantages. For instance, it's a well-established treatment technology, which means it can be easily employed and used efficiently. It does only generate a small amount of gas, and if the gas is particularly harmful, it can be collected and held for further treatment if necessary. And it does operate at lower temperatures in comparison to incineration. However, the contaminants aren't actually destroyed, they're simply removed from the heated medium. It is an energy intensive process, as a temperature of around 400 degrees Celsius needs to be maintained for a number of weeks. And it can't treat particles of soil with a diameter greater than 60 millimetres. This has been successfully employed at a former gasworks in Dundee, which also had elevated levels of PAHs, TPHs, and cyanide. It was carried out by a company called Enotech Environmental Limited, which reported a 99% reduction in contaminants at the site for approximately £70 per tonne.
Okay, I'll be going through bioremediation, phytoremediation, and the remediating actions we're going to take. So bioremediation is the process of biological degradation of contaminants in a soil. You put in a suited bacteria or fungi to the contaminated soil, it then excretes some enzymes which break down the contaminant, and they then feed off this broken down contaminant. It then, from this feed, emits sort of less harmful byproducts such as CO2 or water, and sometimes ammonia in some cases as well. There's a few different types. One just uses the already naturally occurring bacteria and fungi, and the other uses ones that you place into the soil. The advantages are that it's cost effective, environmentally friendly, because you're just adding a bacteria or fungi, and it can be performed ex situ or in situ, so that means sorry, that you can use the site while you remediate. The disadvantage, however, it can take a long time, 2 to 4 months, depending on conditions. Your weather affects it, temperature affects it, pH affects how the degradation happens. Phytoremediation, on the other hand, is using plants and trees to absorb the contaminants from the subsurface soil up into the extremities of the plant and take it away from the actual soil that you want to decontaminate. This is you need to use evergreen trees so that it doesn't degrade back into the soil and things like that. The advantages are it's again completely environmentally friendly and cost effective, but it's a very slow uptake again, and the contaminant can take several years to come out of the soil because the roots need to grow and things like that. For our remediation actions, I think we'll couple thermal desorption and gravel washing. As Jack said before, we'll be splitting up, just like the soil case, splitting up the gravel from the sand, silts and clays. The gravel showed a 99% reduction in the washing of all the contaminants we were concerned of, while thermal desorption will take down another 90% of the contaminants in the sand, silts and clays. This is we think will take about 26 weeks or so, and around 3.5 million to 4 million pounds to implement. Thank you for listening.
You have identified that is the
Yeah.
PAH, TPH, and cyanides
Yep.
that are the main contaminants inside. So you propose your recommended action is this mix of the thermal desorption with the gravel washing. Is this gonna be covering all this?
Since we have looked at the previous report from Claire, from the soil washing, we can reduce like 75% or 97% of the pH side. The continued method to deal with, so which is the thermal desorption.
Okay, and is the thermal desorption gonna take care of the cyanides too?
I believe so. Because it takes like most of the contaminants, they convert the foam into gas and get them in the container and get the contaminants concentrated. Yes.
From the gas works report that we found, it led us to believe that it would have an effective use on cyanides.
They have done work testing afterwards, after what was passed to the thermal absorption to check what how was the soil and was clean for the.
They said it had a 99% reduction rate in the contaminants. They didn't actually give details of exactly the levels that were still remaining, but the soil was able to be reused on the site as backdrop.
Can you explain to us? You explained that they have bioremediation and phytoremediation there too. Why they adopted that, Andrew? Why they had bioremediation and phytoremediation?
Well, you've got to test the soil, and if there's like a certain pH or temperature, they can work out what bacteria to use. So once they've got a soil and they think that they've got the right bacteria or fungi to use, then it's a good solution.
And what type of contaminants bioremediation, phytoremediation were taken care of?
then goes TPHs and pads.
Megan, you have presented this big diagram that can you can you explain to us?
First of all, there was 20 tons taken from 20 tons of soil taken from the plant area and 10 tons taken from the waste area. And then they were first screened, so any debris above 80 mil was taken out, as this was suspected to be coal residue. It was then sieved from 2 to 75 mil to isolate the gravel component, and then it was like some sort of spiral treatment. I don't really understand that, but to separate out the sands and then the silts and clays. And then the gravel was simply just drum washed, and then the sand was the one that was treated most by like different processes, such as like something called scrubbing. Yeah, the sand was was scrubbed, but it didn't actually yield that high reduction in contaminants. And it was the same with the silts and clays. Like we kind of suspect that this might be because the contaminants might bind more closely to the smaller particle sizes.
Why would it be that they will be more binding to the...
Just because the contaminants would have like a smaller surface area to latch onto in comparison to the gravels.
I've got a question if you don't mind. This to you, Carl. You mentioned very briefly at the end of your section costs.
Yeah.
That was in relation to your suggested.
To our suggested.
Could you compare that with some of the other?
Yeah, so
remediation
the
options you
reason I
suggested?
think we came to the cost of sort of 3.5 million was to do with the previous gas works that they had in Dundee that had costed around 1.6 or 3 million. I think it was 1.5 million, and because of that we thought ours is almost, I think, double the size of our site. I think they had about 23,000 tonnes, whereas we have, if we were to do it by metre, I think we had 53,000 metres squared. So we just sort of thought if it was a similar sort of size, if it was like 2 times the size, it would be sort of similar cost, because it was like sort of similar sort of plant gas works, line and things like that were going on as well. So that was the cost of the thermal part, but then the soil washing was from the actual case study we had. They thought, I think it was £50 to £100 per tonne would be in a full-scale wash after the pilot. They thought that's how much it would cost, so we factored those two and said that's how much we thought it would be around. It was an estimated cost, but it was somewhere thereabouts. And then the length of time was to do with the fact that the gas works again had taken about 20 weeks to, or no, it's 15 weeks, sorry, 14 weeks to take place. So,
Do you want to add any other thing?
I think.
Thank you. How many times I've been giving you feedback? It takes a lot of energy, the whole process, but the key thing here is how you learn best. And I think we have found, and I agree that I have changed this, there are parts of the market that are group work, yes, but there are parts of the market that are individual, and to be fair, it needs to be fair. And the parts that are group work, that is the summary and the PowerPoint, everyone has the chance there to change it. So if you're not happy with it, you can say, no, I'm not happy, it's not still in the level. Everyone can work and put it in the right level, so everyone can influence their part. Then it's fair. The individual parts, I'm not gonna put it down a group, because one member of the group was partying until 3 AM last night and arrived here and is not really paying attention, and I ask questions and is not even there with the mind. It's not fair. So the individual marking is to be fair and to get. And you watching this, is it clear to see the different levels that we have in the group? Any of the groups that presented here, do you think everyone was in the same level in any of the groups? Do you think? Would be fair to say that everyone in every single group will be marked in the same way? No. It is hard for us, yes. I think we have been trained now. We're more prepared, and the fact that it's both of us, it helps because we take lots of notes, we put marks in different levels, and then next week we sit together and we go one by one, look at photograph. We took notes what we're talking about, what we have in marks, and then we can mark when you have something that is bad. So this is the idea. Today it's too late to give the feedback on the case, so what I'm thinking is to put 2 different times next week available, that I will be available for you to come.
Right, I just finished my presentation on Friday, the course, and I would like to thank my teammates, Cal, Mal, Megan, and Jack. Appreciate all the effort that you put in. We really did a great job. Well done, buddy. Appreciate it. I would like to thank Sam, who was sitting and listening to our presentation, giving us feedback to improve our performance. Especially, I would like to thank Gabby, who encouraged me to put more efforts, to work really hard on the things I would like to challenge. I'm really aggressive on that. I keep my word. So that's it. Good luck with your exams, and I'll see you around, right? Okay. Bye.